Hello everyone, welcome to the Archipelago live stream. My name is Liam, I'm part of the team here at Archipelago, makers of Lightroom presets and creative profiles. This is the limited edition Archipelago Lens FX live stream. I'm super excited for this live stream. We're going to be launching the set during the stream. We're also going to be showcasing the presets as always, walking you through what's included, talking about how to use the set, all that good stuff, and of course answering your questions if you have them. I can see we've got quite a lot of people in the chat already, so there's a lot of excitement for this limited edition set. So yeah, I'll be showcasing that for you today. So yeah, the Lens FX set is all about light and embracing beautiful, stunning light through these incredible effects. It has more than 70 lighting effects included, and the tools are totally customizable in Lightroom. You can place the effects wherever you like. You can set the intensity. I'll show all of that as we go through. And it's made up of lots of different categories that you can use together. So in there you have sunspots, you've got sunbursts, blooms, rays, flares, lower gradients, and warm haze presets. So like I said, over 70 in total. It's a huge set, incredible value for money. And like I said, it's a limited edition preset collection. It's going to be launching on archipelagopresets.com before the end of this stream. So if you are tuning in live, we'll let you know as soon as it's available for you to jump over and order it. And it's a limited edition set. So what that means is we have 500 copies that are going to be available through archipelagopresets.com at the sale price of $108. After those 500 sets have sold, the preset will no longer be available on archipelagopresets.com. So it's a limited release at an exclusive sale price, after which the set will be retired to the Archipelago Vault. Now, historically, the Archipelago Vault is where our retired presets go, and essentially it means that you can no longer purchase those presets, apart from the rare occasion that we bring a set back for a limited period of time, just as a promotion. But we're actually going to be changing that. We're going to be launching the Archipelago Vault in the coming weeks over on archipelagoquest.com. So Archipelago Quest is where you're going to find our preset subscription, our membership to Quest, and it's going to be moved over to there. So some of our retired presets will be coming back and available to purchase for Quest members only. So if you're a Quest member, you can go into the into the Archipelago Vault and purchase some previously retired sets from Archipelago. So we're going to be launching that in the coming weeks. That's going to have 3 of our retired Archipelago sets in the vault as we launch it, and then more will follow. And as I say, this limited edition set that we'll be launching today, once the limited numbers of 500 copies have been sold through archipelagopresets.com, that will retire into the vault and will be available only for Quest members to purchase at the regular preset price of $128 for this set. So if you are interested in getting it, you're going to want to snag it quickly. Run, don't walk if you want these, but we'll let you know as soon as they're live so you can get your hands on one of the limited edition copies of this set on archipelagopresets.com. So yeah, lots of good stuff, lots of excitement for this live stream. I can see there's a bunch of familiar names and some new ones. I saw some subscriptions coming through to the channel as we started this. So thank you so much if you're a new subscriber. Thank you so much if this is the first time you've joined a live stream, and thank you if this is not the first time you've joined and you've been on before. It's great to have you all here. I'm really, really excited to get underway with this. But let me just show you first of all what we're going to be working with. And actually, let me tell you right now, so if you are new to a stream, you might not know this, but anyone that's been around for a while will know that we always do a giveaway on our live streams, and this is no different. We'll be giving away a pre-release copy of the Lens FX set at the end of the stream. So stick around, keep chatting in the live chat as we go through. We'll pick someone from the chat to win a free copy of Archipelago Lens FX at the end of the stream. And immediately after we announce that winner, we'll set the actual presets live on the website for you to go and purchase. So if you don't win the set, you can jump straight on and buy them as soon as they're available in those limited quantities. So stick around, keep chatting, and you're in with a chance of winning the preset collection. All right, so let's take a look at Lightroom. Here's the images that I have to edit with today. 8 gorgeous photos from 8 different photographers. And as I go through the stream, you're going to see the photographer's name at the top left, along with the EXIF data there. Now, I've actually edited these already with various different Archipelago and Quest presets. That's just to give us a nice base so we can actually see the lens effects in action. And then when we take a look at the before and after, we can kind of see going from a raw file through a normal editing process and then adding the lens effects on top as well. All right, so Let's have a quick look at the chat and see what's going on. If you are a new subscriber, do jump in the chat and say hello. I can see that there's a couple of people on that have been on the live streams before, and someone that said that they're not been on one for a while, so that's exciting. So will Lens FX be available in the Quest vault if we miss it? Yes, that's right. If you do miss it at the limited quantity of 500 at that sale price, it will be available in the vault, but it will be more expensive. It will be $20 more than the sale price, the limited quantity on Archipelago. So it still gives you the chance, if you do happen to miss it, to get hold of it, but it won't be at that exclusive launch price. Nice. Questers will have access to the vault in the weeks to come. Great news. Yes, very, very exciting. And we'll announce which presets are going to be going into there as and when they drop as well. So keep your eye out for more information. Liz says the vault is exciting news. Yes, it is. Very much exciting. And it's not the only thing. We've got lots more planned for Quest, lots of developments and new ideas and things that we want to do with Quest in the coming weeks as well. So absolutely stay tuned for what we've got to come. Sorry, so I wasn't going to miss this live. That's good. All right, so let's take a look at the first image, and I'll kind of walk through this huge preset collection, and we'll kind of get editing with it and start from there. So like I said, I've edited these images already, so you can see if I do before and after. We have a Wayfarer edit on this one. So just a nice simple edit. Use the creative profile, and you can see on this image I just removed what I think are road signs maybe in the background just there, but otherwise that's the kind of nice clean edit to start with. So let's take a look at the actual effect collection. So you're going to find Archipelago Lens FX. Essentially it's in its own category within Lightroom. So the presets are broken down into different categories, and we've actually housed this one in its own category. So you're going to find it above the Archipelago presets and below the AI presets that we've released. So it's up here at the top, and you can see it's divided up into 7 different categories. And this is just to make it a little bit easier to navigate and find the tools that you want to use, just because, like I said, there's more than 70 in total. So it's a huge preset collection, but dividing it up like this just allows you to kind of navigate it a little bit easier. So you can see we've got the sunspots, bursts, blooms, rays, flares, particles, and then tools. And if I open one of these, take a look at the sunspots first of all, you're going to see each preset has a H or a V at the end of it if there is a vertical or a horizontal version. So just make sure you are using the correct version based on the image that you have. If you have a horizontal image like the one I have here, make sure you use one of the H versions and the V version for a vertical image. Some of the presets don't have that, so you'll find in the tools section there's a couple down here that don't have different versions for H and V. You can use those across all images, but just make sure with the actual effects you're using the correct version. And these are organized in the order that you might typically use them. So you can see we've got sunspots at the top. So if you imagine as you work through the set, you're going to start at the top, and you're going to start with a sunspot, and then you're going to add your burst, your blooms, your rays, and so on. Obviously, you don't have to add all of them. You can add multiples. You can do all sorts of different things. The idea is you want to play with it and just kind of create whatever you like, but it's kind of organized in that way just to make navigation a little bit easier as well. Carolina said, how can I win these presets? You're already in with a chance just by being here on the live stream. And if you just keep chatting away as we go through this, letting us know what you think of the effects as I'm editing, what you think of the images that I'll be editing today, all that good stuff. If you have questions, ask those as well. And from that live chat, we'll announce a winner at the end. So all you need to do is participate in the chat, and you're in with a chance of winning the presets. All right, so let's actually edit with these. So I'm going to start with the sunspots. So as you can see here, we have sun 1, 2, 3, and 4 in both a horizontal and a vertical version. So I've got a horizontal image here. So I'm going to start with the sun in a horizontal format. And if I hover over each of the presets, you're going to see the effect applied. So it's going to plonk the effect right in the middle of the image. Some of the other effects will be placed in slightly different places, but obviously using the masking panel in Lightroom Classic, you can move these around nice and easily. And of course, change the intensity and all that good stuff. So let's get started with one of these. So I'm going to probably go for Sun 1, but let's just take a look at the others. We have Sun 2 with a little bit more of a kind of diagonal flare. Sun 3, which has the opposite diagonal flare, and then Sun 4, which has flares both vertically and horizontally. So I'm probably going to go for Sun 1 or 4. Let's go for 4. So Sun 4, if I go into the masking panel, you can see that's now appeared. If I just give that layer a click, then you can see the anchors appear on screen here. All you have to do at that point is just click and drag one of the anchors, any one of them, and that will allow you to move it around the image. So then I can place this wherever I like. So with this image, I have a nice strong source of light. We have the sun just bursting through the top here. So it's going to make life really easy to kind of place these. So we're just going to follow that light and add the effects that we want as we go. So I'm going to move this up here and just place it where the light naturally is. So just there above the horizon line. And we can see that's already given us a really nice starting point. So if I bring this all the way down to 0 and then up to 200, you can see it's just adding a little bit more of that nice glowy light in the top of the frame. I'm going to leave it at the default amount of 100, but obviously use the amount slider that you see in the masking panel to set the amount or intensity of the preset. Now, usually when you use a preset, you might be used to using the amount slider at the top left here. Now, with this preset collection, I wouldn't recommend using that one all the time. And that's simply because there's a bug in Lightroom. When you move the placement of a mask and then change the intensity of the preset using this slider, it will actually move it back to the default position wherever it started. So I wouldn't recommend using the amount slider at the top there for these. Use the one in the masking panel to change the intensity. It just makes your life a little bit easier so it doesn't automatically move the effect back to the center or somewhere else in the frame. So we've got our sunspot, so let's close that one down, take a look at the bursts. So again, we have 4 bursts. This is the horizontal version of each. So we have a large starburst effect here. We have a smaller version of that one. Then we have a slightly different shape that's kind of a little bit softer, less dramatic. And then we have burst 4, which is again similar to that one, but smaller. So for this one, I'm going to go for burst. Let's go burst 4. Again, select the mask layer, click on one of the anchors and drag, and I can place that again over the top of the sunspot that I've added. And then I can change the intensity. I'm just going to bring it down a decent amount. I just want a little bit of that coming through just to look quite natural. So about 60. And that's just giving us those nice flare lines. If I turn that off and on, nice and subtle is the key, and that's going to give us a little bit more of a realistic result. I can see a comment in there, this is incredibly realistic. That's from Ewa, thank you. All right, so Lens FX 3 is the blooms. So again, we have 4 versions. Bloom 3 and Bloom 4 have a subject removal tool in them as well. So let's just go through each of those. So Bloom 1 gives us that nice hazy blooming that you get around a point of light. Bloom 2, slightly different shape. Bloom 3 is much more dramatic, it's much, much larger. And because it takes up more of the frame, there is a second version of it that automatically masks out your subject. So, such as in this case, I wouldn't want that much kind of light blooming over the subject. You can use the subject version, and that will just mask out the subject and place the bloom behind them. And then we have a really dramatic version, which is Bloom 4. And again, we have a subject version of Bloom 4. So for this, I'm going to use Bloom 3 subject. So that's going to be the version where it removes the subject from the bloom. And then I'm going to grab hold of the brush here and I can move this again up to the point of light. So around about here, I'm going to bring the intensity right down. I only want a little bit of this, not too much. So I'm going to set it to about 20. So again, let's take a look at the mask panel. If I turn this off and on, so we're just building slowly but surely, just adding that nice point of light, getting some glow going on. So we've got a sun, we've got a burst, and we've got a bloom so far. All right, so let's move on to rays. So there's a few more in this section. You can see we have 8 different rays in both horizontal and vertical versions. So ray 1. And then we have flipped versions of these. So the diagonal direction of the ray will be flipped for each alternate version. So ray 2, ray 3, 4, 5, one of my favorites, and 6, which is the flip version. Ray 7, super dramatic. This might be if you have light coming in from directly above the lens from one side, and then again flipped across to the other side there. So I'm going to go for one of these ones. Let's go for, I'm going to go for rays 2, and I'm going to again give it a click, grab one of the anchors, and I'm going to drag this up over the top. Now I only want a subtle bit of this, so I'm going to place this up out of the frame with just a little bit of this bursting through to the diagonal left. And again, I can bring the intensity down. I just want a little bit of this just to create a little bit of interest on that left-hand side. Okay, that's looking good to me. Somewhere around about there. All right, so now we're on to flares. Again, we have 10 in this section, starting with flare 1, and then the flipped version of flare 2. Super nice, get these really nice kind of bands of light in this really nice arc. So flare 1 and 2. Flare 3, so you have this kind of, it sort of replicates the look of a light bouncing within a lens. And if you have a really nice wide aperture with these round aperture blades, you're going to get this sort of bokeh effect of flare. It's quite intense when you first apply, but of course you have the amount of sliders, so you can apply that. And you can actually move each of these elements individually. So each of those light orbs that you see there, you can move individually. We have the flip version of that. We then have a similar effect, but with closed down aperture. So it has these kind of harsh lines around the edges, and again, slightly different colors. And the flip version of that one as well. And again, these elements are all individual, so you can move those 3 elements around on their own. Flare 7. So this one's a really nice sort of like front element flare of a lens. It might be something you get if you had potentially a filter over the front of your lens and the light is bouncing off the front of the lens back onto the filter. You get this kind of effect. And we have the mirrored version with flare 8. And then flare 9, quite a dramatic lower corner flare here with really interesting kind of shape to it. And then the flipped version of that, flare 10. All right, so let's take a look. I'm definitely going to use flare 1, I think, for this. I think it's super nice. And obviously this is giving us the correct direction. So the light's up here at the top left, coming down to the bottom right. So we can place that wherever we like. Again, give it a click. You can see all the separate elements here that we use to make this up. But just click on any of those, one click and drag, and you can move this exactly where you want within the scene. So I'm going to go down here and just sort of frame the subject a little bit. And again, we've got the intensity, so you can set this exactly how you like. I'm going to go for something a little bit more intense, a little bit more dramatic, I think. So go for a 123. Just having a quick glance at the chat. I can see it popping off in the corner of my eye. Game changer. I love how there are so many different shapes. I love the flares. Dude, these are all so fantastic. These could be dangerous. I can see myself getting carried away and just adding these to every single photo. Love that. Cool. So that's the first flare, but I'm going to add another flare to this as well. I think let's go for one of these interesting flares with the color. So I'm going to go for this one. I'm going to place it on the left-hand side just to kind of fill in this little area here. But I don't want these to be quite as large as they are. Now, there isn't an easy way to resize a mask, unfortunately. That's not a feature of Lightroom, but there is a little bit of a workaround. So if you go into the crop mode and just crop your image down before you apply the preset. So I'm going to crop this in nice and tight. I'm not too worried about what I'm cropping. But then I'm going to hover over the preset, so flare 6, I believe. There we go. And now you can see the size of it matches the size of the crop or the frame of the crop rather than the original image. So all I need to do is go ahead and apply the preset. And you can do it while you're in the crop panel. And then I can just press reset on the crop, go into the masking panel, and then I've got a smaller version of the flares. So now I can go to flare A, which is the larger one here, and I can place that wherever I like. So I'm going to go over here. Then we have flare B, which is a smaller sort of reddy color one. I'm going to place it just a little bit over here, and then flare C. I'm going to place that one slightly over the top. Let's go like there. And again, you can set the intensity. So I'm going to go for something a little bit more subtle with these. I just want them to be in there as a little bit of added texture. So I'm going to go around about there. All right, that's looking good. And let's see, should we use any others? I think I'm possibly happy with that. So let's take a look at the last few effects. So next up we have particles. And there's just one effect in this section, one version for horizontal, one version for vertical. And this just adds a really nice particle effect to your image. So you get this kind of look of like dust floating in a kind of beam of light, that kind of effect. So if I give this a click, I'm not going to use it on this image, but I just want to show you, give it a click. And again, I can move this around so you can see those particles a little bit better if I move it. So super nice effect, and I'll definitely be using that on another image. And then last but not least, we have tools. So these are just some additional tools to help deliver the effect that you want on the final image. So first up, you have lower gradient. This just adds a nice darkening to the bottom of the frame. Super nice if you've got sort of light bursting in as you have here, and it just makes some of those effects a little bit more dramatic. We then have a version that removes the subject from the gradient. We then have a lower vignette, same sort of idea, but it's just a vignette along the lower of the frame. And then the same again, a version where it removes the subject from the mask. And then we have 3 different haze tools. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of the gradients. I'm going to go for lower gradient subject. And with this one, I'm not going to move anything around, so I can just use the preset amount slider to determine exactly how much of that I want. So a decent amount. I'm going to go maybe the default. Let's go for the default of 100. And then last but not least, we have the warm haze tool. So there's 3 different versions of this, and it's a nice finishing touch. It's a preset that applies a color grade over your image. And this can be used in conjunction with any other presets. Like I said, I've used Wayfarer on this one. Excuse me. And then this can just give that nice warm hazy look to the image, and it applies directly over the top in the masking panel. So warm haze 1. Super nice, nice rich orange warmth. Really, really nice golden light. And then we have warm haze 2, a little bit more sort of yellowy light, which I really, really love. And I think it's probably what I'm going to use on this one. And then we have warm haze 3, which is a nice rich magenta light. So I'm going to go for warm haze 2 on this one because I love the way it looks. Give that a click, and then we can use, let me make sure that's applied. Give it a second. And then we can use the preset amount slider at the top here. So this is it down at 0, up at 200. I'm going to go for 120, so just a little bit of an increase, just to give us that nice rich warmth and just kind of tie everything together really, really nicely on this. Let's see if there's anything else we might want to do. Maybe let's do one more flare. Let's go for flare 9. And I'm just going to move this one down into the bottom corner, just down here. And I'm going to take the intensity right the way down just for, again, a little bit of interest, just kind of blooming in from the corner. About there, looks good to me. All right, let's take a look at before and after. So that's our starting image. Gorgeous, straight out of camera image. This one is from Jess. You can see Jess's name and Instagram handle at the top left there, along with the data, the EXIF data. This is the edit using Wayfarer and then the brand new Archipelago Lens FX set. We've used a mixture of the sunspots, the bursts, the blooms, the rays, the flares. We've not used the particles on this, but we have used some of the tools there as well. Let me show you the side-by-side comparison. Super dramatic, really, really gorgeous. Obviously, the image had a nice amount of natural light bursting in through the top anyway, but because we use modern cameras and modern lenses a lot of times these days, they do an amazing job of controlling things like flare and all that kind of stuff. So they tend to reduce it, and that makes our lives easier as photographers because we're not getting unwanted flare on our subjects and all that kind of stuff. But with this lens effect set in Lightroom, without the need for Photoshop or anything else, you can now bring some of those kind of nice elements back into your image, but with total control. You can place them wherever you like. You can set the intensity. You can remove the subject from the mask really easily. And it just gives you the option to create something really dramatic and really, really beautiful. And these will work with any preset collection that you like to use. So again, before and after. So I can see lots and lots going on in the chat. Sorry, I can't see all of your comments. They're just whizzing by very, very quickly, but we have got some of our team members in there keeping an eye on that. So yeah, keep chatting away. It's all good stuff. This is unbelievably beautiful. Love that. Can't believe this is all done in Lightroom. It's incredible, right? Also interested in a black and white conversion? Well, that's good news because we actually have a black and white edit for you as well, Anthony, so stick around. All right, so I can't believe we are actually half an hour into this stream almost already, and we've only done one image. All right, so I've got 8 images in total. Might not have time to do all these because I want to keep this to around about an hour. So I tell you what, let me know which image you want to see edited next. If you jump in the chat, let me know which number of the thumbnail up here you want to see edited next, and I'll jump and do that one as the next one. We'll try and go through as many as we can before we announce a winner for the pre-release copy and then actually launch the set live on archipelagopresets.com. Ty's jumped in saying 3. Let's go with 3 then. Image number 3, let's do that one next. So another image where we have a nice amount of natural light. This one here by Jay. You can see Jay's Instagram handle up the top there. So we've got an indoor image, we've got some light bursting in through a window at the top there, nice bit of flare naturally, but we can just kind of enhance that one further. So this one's edited with Alethea, which is our true color preset collection, available at archipelagopresets.com. So let's start up at Sunspots. Now, I probably don't need to use a sunspot on this. I'm quite happy actually with where it's at already, but what I do want to do is add, well, let's go for it. Let's add a sunspot and we'll see how it looks. This might just enhance what's already there. So let's go for sunspot 1. Bring that up to the top. Bursts, oh, let's make sure I'm using the vertical versions. Vertical 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go for 2 on this one. Let's bring that up and place that there. I'm going to bring the intensity down just so it's nice and natural. I tend to find with the bursts, if you have them nice and low, if I turn that off and on, you can see it's just enough to kind of give that natural effect of the burst of light coming through. So bloom, we've got quite a lot of bloom going on in here already, so I'm definitely going to use one of the subject versions. I don't want to add any more bloom over the subjects in this. So let's go for bloom 3. Again, let's make sure I'm using the vertical version. And let's move this up to the top. I'm going to bring the intensity of this one down quite a lot. I only want a little bit of it, so maybe about there, 13, just a little bit more, just to kind of push the natural effect a little bit further. Rays, I'm not going to use a ray on this one. I want to keep it a little bit more simple because any rays are going to sort of start to creep over the subject unless I remove the subject from them, but I want to keep it nice and simple. So I'm just going to go for a flare. So let's go for one of the vertical flares. I think for this, let's go for one of these two, 7 or 8. It would be 8, I think. And we can place that sort of just... Let's place it there. Set the intensity. I'm going to go for about 122. And I might leave it like that. Let's have a quick look at tools. Don't think I need a gradient. I quite like the natural look, but let's go for a warm haze just to tie everything together. I'm going to go for warm haze 1. Just to give us that nice wash of golden light. I'm going to crank it up quite high. Like I said, Alethea is a color accurate preset collection. So this is just going to add a little bit more golden light into it. So let's take a look. This is before and after. Nice simple edit. We're just pushing what's already there. We've got the light kind of blooming in behind the subject on the right there. We just added more of that. Got a more obvious kind of burst, and then this lovely flare coming down at the bottom there. And then obviously the warmth to just tie it all together. Diana said, I've been waiting my whole life to add flares like this. Well, it's almost time for you. Like I said, by the end of the stream, we'll be releasing this set, so it'll be available for you to get hold of. Just as a reminder, if you are tuning in a little bit later, this is the upcoming Archipelago Lens FX limited edition preset collection. So this will be released during the end of the stream. So if you stick around to the end, we'll announce when it's actually live for you to purchase. It's going to be a limited edition set, limited to 500 copies, available on archipelagopresets.com, after which, once those have sold, it will be retired into the vault. The vault will be launching on Archipelago Quest soon, so if you do miss out on one of the original copies, don't worry, you would still be able to get your hands on it, but you would need to be a Quest member, and it would be at the regular price of $128 rather than the exclusive sale price of $108. Diana said, Liam, you can go home now. We are all sold. Well, luckily I'm already home. This is my home office, so so we can carry on. It's all good. All right, let's go for another image. What do you want to see? Let me know. First comment to pop a number in there, and I'll jump onto that image next. Cali Cat jumped in with image number 2, so let's do that one. Thank you so much, everyone, for your selections. So this image by Anna, absolutely gorgeous image. So this one we have an obvious point of light, but it's not as direct as the last two that we looked at. So it's kind of behind the rock here, and you can just see some of the kind of flare, almost like a little bit of a glow coming from behind there. So that's going to be where we want to place our light. but we're going to make it a lot more obvious and look more like it's actually coming directly into the camera. So this image is edited with Halite. This is available from archipelagopresets.com. Absolutely gorgeous collection. So let's go for a sun. I'm going to go for vertical, and I'm going to go for sun 2, which gives us this nice diagonal flare that's just going to creep around the edge of the rock. So I'm going to go about there. Set the intensity. It's totally magical that you can set how bright the sun is. Lovely. So that's the sunspot. Let's go ahead and add a burst. I'm going to go for burst 4, I think, maybe 3. Let's go for 3. So I'm going to bring burst 3 in. I'm going to bring the intensity right the way down, maybe around about there. All right, let's have a look at blooms. We've got vertical bloom 1, bloom 2. Let's go for bloom 2. I'm going to add that in here. And again, bring the intensity down. I just want a little bit more bloom than what we've got naturally coming in. And then the fun one, let's go for a ray. So let's have a look at the rays. Ray 1, ray 2. It's going to be one of these diagonal ones in this direction, unless I wanted to kind of create a little bit of a look where it kind of flares the other way. But I think we could do actually. Let's go for one actually flaring the opposite direction. So let's go for rays 4. I'm just going to use this just to add a little bit more of a flare kind of coming in through the top. So I'm going to place it, let's see, I'm going to place it around about there. And then what I'm going to do is go to subtract. I'm going to go to linear gradient, and I'm just going to subtract it from that side. So I'm just kind of introducing a little bit more flare up through the top. And then I can go ahead and click the main mask, grab any of those handles, and I can move the whole effect then. So I'm going to go around about there, just to kind of create a little bit of interest of the light kind of bursting in through the top there. And then let's go for a flare. And I think it's going to be flare 1. I really like the way this looks. Got this lovely shape to it. I'm going to bring it, let's see where we're going to go. Let's frame the subject a tiny little bit, I think about there. Bring the intensity up somewhat. And then let's go for another one of these flares, but I'm going to go for a smaller version of it. I'm going to do the same trick again. So I'm going to go to the crop panel. I'm going to bring the crop down really small, apply the flare, and then I'm going to reset the crop. Now I can go into the masking panel and have a smaller version of that flare. And I'm going to bring it down into, let's see, should we have it in that corner or this corner? I think this corner is where it would go. So let's go for down in this corner. I'm going to bring the intensity, let's go up a little bit. I'm going to go there, and I'm also going to do the similar sort of thing where I'm going to go to linear gradient and just subtract, just to kind of make the effect just a little bit less pronounced on that side. So I think something like that was good. And we can go for a particle on this one. So let's go for particle 1. And I'm going to use this just to kind of add a little bit more dimension to the image. I'm going to drop this behind the subject. So all I'm going to do is go to the masking layer. I'm going to click subtract, select subject, and I'm going to drop that behind the subject. And I'm going to take the intensity down just so it's kind of nice and subtle, just so we're getting a little bit of that kind of particle texture coming in behind. So if I go ahead and select the mask and move it around again, I can check the placement. I think, yeah, somewhere around there. Almost replicates the look. Obviously, this is a coastal scene, so it might be that you've got kind of droplets of sea spray in the air, and they're kind of reflecting the light, and it would create this kind of effect. So that's looking great. Let's do some little finishing touches to this. So we have got quite a dark lower frame anyway, so we might not need to use any of the lower gradients. But we could go for lower vignette subject and just bring the effect down, just so it's a little bit more subtle, I think about there. And let's take a look at the warm hazes. So warm haze 1, warm haze 2, and warm haze 3. I like 3 on this, a nice little bit of sort of magenta warm color coming through. This is it down at 0, up at 200. I'm not going to go super high, but let's go for around about 67. So this is before the unedited image. Super beautiful image from Anna. And this is the edit with Halite and then Lens FX. We've used various different tools to achieve this look. And I'll show you the side by side there as well. This is so amazing. Need this. Us all getting carried away with this preset. Love that. Love the particles. Stunning photo. These effects make it pop even more. Love it. Great stuff. Thank you, everyone. All right, so you know the drill by now. Let me know which one you want to see edited next. We'll try and get through them all, but we might not have time to do all of them. But we've done 1, 2, and 3 so far. So number 7 was the first pick. This is a black and white image. So let's go ahead and do this one. So with this one, I'm going for something a little bit different. Obviously, this is not a daytime shot, so we don't actually have sun, and you wouldn't have the sun in it, but we have these nice bright artificial lights behind the subject. So I'm going to use this a little bit more creatively and kind of do a bit more of a creative edit on this one. So we don't need any sunspots because we have these points of light already. So I'm not going to bother with a sunspot necessarily. Actually, we might do. Let's go for one of the sunspots that has the kind of flare. Now, what you're going to notice immediately is there is color on these. So they have a nice warm tone to them. And obviously with a black and white image, you don't want to have that color. But that's easy to address. Because it's all done through the masking panel, it's super easy to correct this. You can basically set whatever color tone you like. Or in the case of a black and white image, you can remove the color. So we've done it this way around rather than making black and white versions, because simply we already have more than 70 presets in this. It would be 140 presets if we made black and white versions, but it's super easy to do, so don't worry. So I'm going to go ahead and apply Sun 4. I'm just going to use this one on the light source that's just next to the subject, just to kind of make it a little bit more intense. So to correct the color, or remove the color, should I say, we just select the masking panel, and you come down to where it says color, and it has this little box over here. So you're going to notice it's got a nice warm tone to it at the moment. I'm going to give that a click, and all I need to do is drag the saturation all the way down. So that's going to remove the color from it. And then if we take a look at this particular one, because it's a sunspot, you're not going to have this issue with the other ones, but we also have the curves down here. So all I'm going to do is just reset the channel, right click and reset channel, and that's just going to remove any color from that. For most of the effects, all you need to do is click in the box and drag the saturation down. But for the sunspots, they do use the tone curves. So just make sure you reset the tone curve for each of those colors. And that's just going to give you a nice neutral starting point. So there we go, before and after. It's just added a nice little bit of drama to that light in the middle of the frame. Now I can set the intensity. And let's play around with some bursts and some other stuff. So let's take a look at burst 1. I'm going to go for burst 2, nice and dramatic, but not too big. I'm going to bring that in over the top of the light source and bring the intensity right the way down. And then all I need to do now to duplicate this is just either click the ellipsis and then press duplicate, or I can just right click on and press duplicate. And then we're going to get a second version of that, which I can then click and drag across to other light sources. So let's put one there and then duplicate again. And we'll place this one over the top of that one. So again, it's just adding a little bit more of that kind of natural effect that's there already. Keep it nice and subtle, just to kind of keep things looking realistic. All right, blooms. I'm not going to use a bloom on this, I don't think, but let's take a look at flares. I think I'm definitely going to use a flare. And I'm definitely going to use flare 1 for this one. So you can see that color coming through. So all I need to do is click flare 1, click on color, drag the saturation down, and we're good to go. So from there, I can then move the effect wherever I like. So I'm going to place it, I'm going to sort of place it over the top of this effect here and just running over the bottom of the subjects. Just going to bring the intensity of that quite high. Any other flares on this? Maybe not. I think I might leave it as it is. And particles, yeah, we could go for particles on this, I think. So again, give that a click, go to the masking panel, hit color, drag the saturation down, and you're good to go. And again, I'm going to do the same as I did before, subtract, select subject, and that's just going to drop that down behind the subject. And then I'm just going to set the intensity nice and low. Boom, there we go. So this is before, this image by Mari. And this one's edited with Mythos. And then we've just creatively used the Lens FX tools just on artificial light rather than natural light, just to show what you can do to achieve this type of look. So again, there's your side-by-side comparison. Totally transform the image. Stop it, that's so good. Reminds me of rain, love that. Obsessed with the particle. Can we just buy it now, please? Not long, you've not got long to wait. You've not got long at all. Where do we buy now? You're going to want to hang fire though, because you're in the chat, so you're in with a chance of winning them. You might get your hands on this set for free. So of course, we're going to announce the winner first, and then we'll launch the set live on our website. So stick around, not long. All right, so let's head back. Let's take a look at the images again. Which one do you want to see edited next? I'm going to say we've probably got time to do the rest of the images, so we're all good. All right, so Ty jumped in with 6. Let's go for image number 6. This is a lovely, lovely photo. It's this one here by Sarah. So again, a little bit of a different edit for this one. We have obviously an indoor shot. We've got some window light here. So you might not necessarily think to use this type of effect in a scenario like this, but let me show you what you can do, because it is really, really cool. You can create some very interesting things. So this one is edited with Nomad. Again, available from archipelagopresets.com. So I'm not necessarily going to use a sunspot on this, because I don't want to add sun into the frame, because obviously we don't have any points where the sun would actually be. I'm not going to add a burst. I'm going to probably add a bloom, but a nice subtle one just to come in from the window here. So let's start with that. Again, vertical image to make sure I'm using the V version. So we have bloom 1, bloom 2, bloom 3. I'm probably going to go bloom 3, and I'll decide if I want to use the subject version of it or not. Probably not, because I'm just going to keep it almost out of frame. You can just sort of drag it all the way out of the frame and just bring it in until you're happy with the amount that is coming in. So I think that's looking good. It's just kind of brightening the edge of the frame just to give that illusion of more kind of light coming through than there actually was in the shot. And I'm definitely going to use some rays in this. So let's take a look at the rays. I'm going to go for something very dramatic. I've got an idea of what I want to do. I'm going to go for rays 8, which is this very dramatic lower right ray. And I'm going to use this just to kind of replicate the look of light spilling in through the window. So I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to kind of line it up to where the top of the window would probably be. I would say maybe around about there. And then again, I'm going to set the intensity so I can decide exactly how much of that I want to have coming in. So I'm probably going to go a little bit lower, and there's a reason for that. So I'm maybe going to go back to the default amount of 100. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer. So I'm going to duplicate, that'll place another one over the top, which is going to make it twice as intense. But with this one, I'm going to subtract the subject, just because I don't want to illuminate the subject too much. I want to give the illusion of the rays coming through, but I don't want to illuminate the subject too much. So this version, I'm going to bring down a little bit. And the version that goes over the subject, I'm going to bring up a little bit. So it's nice and natural. So we've got kind of a bit more of an intense effect between those two. But some of the effect is falling behind the subject and some of it is falling on the subject. So that's looking good. I think I'm happy with that. I'm not going to add like a really obvious flare, because again, we've not got that kind of direct source of light in the image. So I want to kind of keep this a little bit more natural looking. So I'm just going to back this off a little bit more. Speaking of that, let's go for that. And I might even be tempted just to, let's subtract and linear gradient. Once again, I'm just going to kind of fade that just a little bit more from start to finish. And I'll do the same on this version as well. Subtract, linear gradient. I'm just going to set a nice feather to that just to kind of keep things looking nice and soft. I'm going to drag that probably all the way up and then set the intensity. I think about there is looking good. All right, so let's go ahead, and now I am going to actually add a sun to this. And that's because I can see that there's a little jar here with a tea light in it. I'm going to do a similar kind of thing to what I've done previously, where I'm going to shrink the crop right down. And I'm going to use a sunspot just to make it look like there's a candle in there. So I'm going to go for a vertical sunspot. I'm just going to go for the regular version of it. Nice small one like that. Reset my crop. Back in the masking panel, choose the sun, which in this case is now going to be a candle. I'm going to place that just over where the tea light is in the jar. And I'm going to set the intensity just a little bit lower, just to kind of help with that illusion. I'm going to go into the color actually, and just make this a little bit more of a reddy orange, and I'm also going to add a little bit more of a tint, magenta tint to it as well, just to kind of give that same kind of color that you would get from a candle. So that's looking really good. I think the last thing we can do here is we can use one of those beautiful warm hazes just to kind of tie everything together really nicely. I think warm haze 1. And I'm going to set it probably at the default amount of 100. And that looks super nice to me. So here's before. Quite a big transformation, especially for an image that doesn't have really direct point of light in it. This is the after. So we just added a lot more shape to the image, a lot more dimension, kind of a little bit of interest with that light spilling through those kind of rays. And then we've also got that kind of candle lit effect in the jar there as well. There's your side-by-side comparison. Again, gorgeous photo by Sarah. Xanthi said the warm haze set is going to be my best friend. Don't you know it? You're going to love it. Such a huge difference. Diane says, geez, Liam. Makes this little extra wow. Love that. Super cool. Okay, cool. Wonderful. Right, so we've still got image number 4, image number 5, and image number 8. So let me know which one you want to see next. Kamal says, you guys are the world's best Lightroom preset makers. Love that. Thank you, Kamal. All right, Cali Cat's chosen image number 8. Barry also chose that one as well. So let's go for image number 8. So this one is by Christy. We have this, again, a lovely scene here where we don't really have a lot of natural light. It looks like it's sort of maybe blue hour. There's light coming in over here. I'm assuming this is probably a lake that the light's reflecting off. Got a lovely sort of picnic table set up, this nice crop with the 2 subjects holding hands and this really nice oil lamp. So again, we're going to use this a little bit more creatively. I'm going to do a similar sort of thing to what I did on the last image. So this one is edited with, let me see, what preset did I use on this one? This one is edited with Asteria. So we've got this nice kind of moody edit to it. So I'm going to go for a sunspot. I've got a vertical image to make sure I'm using the V version. And I'm going to go for Sunspot 4. I'm going to leave it at the normal size because the size is actually perfect for the lantern. I'm going to place it directly over the source of light there. And I'm going to set the intensity. So let's go about there, so about 80. Let's go for a burst. I'm probably going to go for burst 3 or 4, I would say, for this. Let's go for 3, a little bit bigger. Bring that over the light source, bring the intensity down quite a lot. I'm going to go about there. That's looking good so far. Blooms, I'm not going to use, I don't think I'm going to use a bloom on this. Let's have a look. We'll see. We'll see. 1, 2. Yeah, let's go for a little bit of a bloom. I'm going to go for bloom 1. Again, place that over the light source just to give that nice glow. But I'm going to keep it very, very subtle. So I'm just going to go around about there, 17, so just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to use particles on this because I think this is going to really finish the image off. It's going to give us a nice effect, replicating that kind of dust in the air. So let's see where we might want to place this. I'm going to go there. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to move this one over to this side here. Maybe around about there. And then I'm going to subtract and I'm going to choose linear gradient again. And I'm just going to make sure it's not too obviously over the subjects in the foreground. Subtract and linear gradient. Let's bring that up just so the hands don't have the particles over because that starts to look a little bit fake. Let's set the intensity. I'm going to go a little bit higher maybe. Bit higher, so about 111, and with this side I'm going to go for about there 80. So just kind of gives that nice extra little bit of texture. It's quite subtle, it's not super obvious, and that's really what you want to get a nice realistic look. So this is before and this is after, again edited with Asteria. That's available on archipelagopresets.com. And then we've used the sunburst just to sunspot and the sunburst, just to kind of give a little bit more dramatic light to the lantern, and then the particle effects, which we've duplicated just to give a little bit more texture and interest in the rest of the frame. There's your side by side. OMG, this effect is incredible. Okay, my wallet is ready. Glad to hear it, Cali Cat. Not long now. Mental note, bust out the lanterns that I rarely use, just so I can add these tools in editing. Love that. Incredible. All right, so we have got 2 more images to do, and then we're going to be announcing a winner of a free copy of this set, the Lens FX limited edition Archipelago set. And then as soon as we've announced the winner, the set will go live. So all of you that are eagerly waiting for this set, you'll be able to jump onto archipelagopresets.com and get your hands on this one before they're gone. They're limited edition. There's only 500 copies of these before they leave archipelagopresets.com and retire into the Archipelago vault. All right, I can see all the numbers popping in, 4 and 5. It's probably even Stevens between the two. So let's just go for image number 4, and then we'll do 5. 5 is a really, really simple one. 4 is a little bit more of a dramatic one. So this image I picked, this one by Denise. I picked this one because it doesn't really have very dramatic light. It looks like a very overcast day. Possibly even, I mean, I'm guessing it was raining because I can see some raindrops on the car there. So we're going to use the effects to introduce light where there really isn't any. So this is kind of a little bit of a different approach to it. So this image is edited with Redwood, again available at archipelagopresets.com. So I'm going to use the sun. I'll use one of the burst versions, I think Sun 3, where it has a little bit of flare coming off the side. I'm going to place it just where the beam is, either there or there. I think here. I'm going to bring the intensity of that. I'll probably leave it at 100 for now. So I'm going to place that there. And as we build the effect, you're going to see it's going to become more and more realistic as we go. So I'm going to add a burst to that. So let's take a look at the bursts. I'm probably going to go for burst. Let's go for burst 2. Bring that in over the top. I'm going to bring the intensity right down to right about there. I'm going to add a bloom just to give a nice amount of glow. And I might go for bloom 3. No, I'm going to go for bloom 1 or 2. Just keep it nice and small. I'm going to go for bloom 1. I'm going to place this up over the sunspot. Bring the intensity down to around about there. So we're really starting to get that nice glow of light now. It's becoming more realistic. Okay, let's take a look at rays. So let's go for rays 1. I'm going to bring this in over the top of the light. Actually, no, I might go the other way. Let's go for, let's go the other way. Rays 4. Go the other direction. Yeah, I'm just going to have it flaring this way around, just because I don't want it to creep this way into the frame too much. So I'm going to bring the intensity of that down a little bit. Let's go around about there. And then flares. Let's have a quick look and see what we want to do with this. Flare 1 is very, very nice. That could be a winner. I like those orbs of light. Let's go for flare 1. Again, give that a click and position this where we want in the frame. So I'm going to go just a little bit further down. I'm going to set the intensity around about there. So just a little bit of a drop, 89. Let's take a look at the other flares. I was going to use, I think, probably, let's use flare 3, which are these nice round color orbs. I'm going to use these again. I'm going to position them over here. In fact, I'm going to do the same trick as I did before. So let me just delete these very quickly. I just want these to be smaller in the frame. Because I'm using them along with other effects, I want these to be a little bit less obvious. So let's go back to, let's do flare 4, just so it's on that side. Reset my crop. And then let's move these into position. So I'm going to kind of place these over on this side here. Let's see, I'm going to go around about there. I'm going to bring the intensity down quite a bit. B, let's position this over the top. I'm going to leave that one as it is, and then C, I'm going to bring that one down. I have that positioned down there, but I'm going to bring the intensity down quite a bit on that one as well. So it's quite subtle, but I think that looks nice. And then let's see, do I want to do any other flares on this? We could double up, we could go for flare 7 as well. That's looking really cool. This kind of almost sits over the top of the flare that we already added. So let's just add that there and just bring that intensity right down. I want this one to be nice and subtle. And then I think one other thing I might do with this one, I'm actually going to go for an effect from a different set. I'm going to go to Archipelago Quest 23, which is the Odeon set. This is a cinematic set. And one of the effects in here is the anamorphic flare. And I'm actually going to use this to help deliver this kind of lighting effect a little bit more. So it adds this nice anamorphic flare. Again, I can click and drag this. I'm going to place it over the top of the windscreen wiper on the car there. So just there. I'm going to customize it a little bit. I'm going to reduce the size of the flare just so it's a lot smaller. I'm going to make it warm by clicking in the color, dragging over here to a nice warm color so it blends in with the rest of the effects in the scene. And let's have a look at the intensity. I might go a little bit brighter, about 109. So that's just adding a little bit more of that light there as if it's bringing it in from the side. And then I think the tools are going to help to just finalize this. So I'm going to go for a lower gradient. I'm going to bring the intensity of that up quite a bit. I'm going to go up to 200. And then let's finish it with a warm haze. I'm going to go for warm haze 2, which is one of my favorites, this nice yellow hazy warmth. I'm going to go fairly high just because I really like the way it looks. Oh, there we go. So let's take a look. This is before and this is after. So massive, massive difference. And you can see that the original scene, very, very flat, very, very soft lighting. And we've kind of added a lot more drama and dimension to it by kind of placing these different elements within the scene, creating the look of that kind of flare of sun coming in the top. The reflection using the anamorphic flare from Odeon, which is a Quest set available from the Quest archive, and as well as the big flare here. We've got the warm haze. Everything just ties together super nicely. There's your side-by-side comparison. Massive, massive transformation. You're a wizard, Harry. Love that. Thank you, Pauline. All photos look amazing with these effects. They are universal. All right, so we've got one image left. We're going to leave that image, at least for now, because we're going to be announcing the winner of the free copy of this set, Archipelago Lens FX limited edition set. We're going to be announcing a winner in the chat in a moment. And as soon as that winner is announced, we'll then set this preset collection live on archipelagopresets.com for you to purchase, because I know you're all super eager to get your hands on it. So yes, in a couple of moments, you're going to see a name drop into the chat. And if your name is in that list, you just reach out to our support email, which you'll see on screen when we share that. And we'll get you a copy of this set for free, just as a thank you for joining. So there we go. Lauren's announced the live chat winners. So we've got Xanthi, Liz, and Ewa. You're all getting free copies of the Archipelago Lens FX set. Just reach out to that email. We'll get that sent over to you straight away. Big congratulations to you. But it's now going to be live on the website, at least in the next couple of moments. So you're going to be able to get your hands on the set if you didn't get it for free. So jump on over to archipelagopresets.com. I've just checked on the site and actually it is live right now. So if you jump on over to archipelagopresets.com, go to the shop page, you're going to see Lens FX up on the page there. And as you can see, it's a limited edition set. We've got 500 of the sets available at $108 as a sale price. Once all 500 have gone, this set will retire into the vault and will no longer be available on Archipelago Presets. It will only be available to Quest subscribers to purchase from the vault at the regular preset price of $128 for this set. So don't miss out if you've been interested in getting this based on the kind of examples you've seen, or if this live stream has whet your appetite and you want to get your hands on it, do jump over there and purchase before they're all gone. But thank you very much for joining the stream. Super exciting to kind of showcase this to you and then actually have the set go live during the live stream. Lots and lots of fun. But yeah, thank you for your patience. Thank you for kind of all your comments as we've gone through. It's been great to have you here. If you've enjoyed this stream, or if you like the look of these presets, give this video a like. That really helps other people to see it and kind of see what we're all about here at Archipelago. But I love doing these live streams. It's always great fun, and it's really nice to see the same names popping up again and again. So do come and join another one in the future. We host at least 2 live streams every month. We've got lots of other content on our YouTube here as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out our other content. Give this one a like, and I'll see you very soon. And actually, as well, if you do pick up the set, get your hands on one of the limited edition ones, jump in our Facebook group, Archipelago Collective, share your edits on there, because I'd love to see those. I'd love to see kind of what you do with it. It's lots and lots of fun to use, as you've seen in this stream. But thank you so much. I'll see you in another one soon.